It had been several weeks since that night. Time, obedient and cruel, had carried them back into their separate lives. The dinners, the obligations, the ordinary conversations that now felt like masks. André hadn't seen Alain since. But when he received the invitation, a gallery opening in Saint-Germain, he somehow knew Alain would be there. The room was white and bright, full of voices, clinking glasses, and the soft rustle of expensive clothing. Paintings hung along the walls, landscapes, portraits, abstractions. None of it seemed to matter. André moved slowly through the crowd, his hand resting lightly on the small of his wife's back, his smile effortless, practiced. Every few minutes he glanced toward the doorway, and then he saw him. Alain, standing near a painting of two figures beneath a storm, their faces turned away from each other. He looked older, somehow. Not in years, but in the way a man looks when he's spent too long trying to forget something unforgettable. Their eyes met across the room. The noise around them faded to a blur. A woman nearby was describing the painting's composition. Two men separated by wind, and yet the same horizon, she said. André's heart gave a single painful beat. Alain smiled faintly, the kind of smile one gives at a distance, polite, practiced, but hiding everything. André returned it, his throat tightening. Their wives spoke briefly, polite chatter about the art, the weather, mutual friends. The men stood in silence beside them, two ghosts wearing suits. At one point, Alain stepped closer, under the pretense of reaching for a glass of champagne. Their sleeves brushed. It was nothing, a whisper of contact, but André felt it like lightning. "Beautiful work," Alain murmured, eyes still on the painting. André nodded. "Yes," he said softly. "Almost too beautiful." Then came the small pause, the one that always held the truth neither could speak. The evening went on, laughter, applause, introductions. The world resumed its rhythm. But as Alain left, coat folded neatly over his arm, he passed by André and whispered, almost too quietly to hear, "Do you still walk by the river?" André froze. His answer came out like a breath. "Every night." Their eyes met once more, and then Alain was gone, leaving behind the faintest trace of cologne, the echo of rain against glass, and a truth that no painting could contain. Time passed, as it always does, quietly, without asking permission. The world changed its seasons, the bridges aged, and the cafes along the Seine filled with new laughter, new stories. André grew older in the way men do when they have learned to live without what they truly wanted, gracefully, politely, with eyes that looked away too quickly. He kept his life neat, predictable, dinners, work, the theater, a garden in the country. He never spoke Alain's name aloud. Sometimes, in the evenings, he would find himself standing by the window, a glass of wine in hand, staring at the faint reflection of his own face. Outside, the street lamps glowed like memories that refused to die. He would imagine Alain somewhere, perhaps at another dinner table, surrounded by laughter, pretending just as he did. And in that imagining, they were both younger again. The candle still burned between them. The world was still asleep. One winter, André visited a small gallery near Montparnasse. He had no reason to be there, or perhaps he did. On a far wall hung a painting, two figures standing apart under a storm. The same image from years ago, but this one different. Softer, sadder. At the bottom, written faintly in pencil, a dedication. Pour A, sous la pluie, toujours. 4A, beneath the rain, always. André stood there a long time, his throat tightened. The years between them, all the silences, the restraint, the careful forgetting, collapsed into a single heartbeat. He smiled, the smallest, most human smile, and whispered, "Always." Outside it began to rain. He didn't open his umbrella. He walked home slowly through the glistening streets of Paris, and for the first time in years, he felt alive again. Paris some years later. The years had settled around André like dust on old books, soft, inevitable. He had learned how to smile in public again, how to talk about the weather and politics without feeling the ground shift beneath him. But some mornings, when the light entered his study just so pale and tender, like that first dawn they once shared, he felt the ache return. It was a quiet day in March when he found the letters. He had been sorting through a drawer of old correspondence, tax forms, invitations, theater programs. Beneath them all lay a small bundle tied with a silk ribbon. The paper had yellowed at the edges, but the handwriting, Alain's, was unmistakable. He sat down slowly, heart pounding. The letters were never sent. André, tonight. The city feels like glass, fragile, reflecting too much. I walked by the river again, the same bench, the same lamplight. I almost expected to see you there. Do you ever pass by that place and wonder if the air still remembers us? André traced the words with his thumb. There were 4 letters in all, written over years, each one beginning with restraint and ending in confession. In one, Alain spoke of a new posting in Brussels, how he kept pretending he had chosen it for career reasons. In another, he described a dream, a dinner, the candle burning, André's voice calling his name before the flame went out. And the last letter, written just 2 years before Alain's death, was the simplest. If there is a heaven, I hope it looks like that night by the river. Nothing grand. Just us, walking, pretending not to love each other. André folded the papers carefully and placed them back inside the drawer. He didn't cry. He only sat there, surrounded by silence, the same silence that had always been theirs. Later that evening, he walked down to the Seine. The river was still there, dark and slow, reflecting the city's new lights. He stood by the same stone railing, hands in his pockets, and whispered, "Bonsoir, mon ami." The wind stirred as if in reply, and for the first time in years André smiled without sadness.